Welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
It's a very, very important episode. Mental Health Matters with my very special guest, radio show host, and so much more, Brittany Miles. For those of you that know Brittany, you know what her passion and purpose is. You also know how she shows up in the world. And it may have been a little bit since you've heard from her because she's been busy doing something that many of us should do more of. And that is shining a light on mental health. And mental health does matter. How do we know that? Both of us come from a journey, a history. My mom committed suicide. We understand this fully. We know about these kind of challenges. My sister, who passed away from addiction, was bipolar in a way that I can't even explain. We didn't have that term back then. But the question is, why are we still here? You know, we thought we would have learned something when, you know, Simone Biles came out and we learned a little bit more about it. Why are we still here? Well, if it's up to Brittany, there will be no more still here as she takes her passion, purpose, and commitment, as she talks about what she's doing and how it matters, and the fantastic article she just got published. Brittany, it's great to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. It's so great to be here. It feels like a good old homecoming. So it's been great.
I know. Hey, I want to just get caught up because, you know, since the last time you did your show, you've been on a mission. Mm-hmm. And you've been on a mission for a very important reason. Mm-hmm. And it is the kind of thing that people, when they hear, where have you been? What are you doing? And they're going to hear that today. They're going to understand how it hits the core of humanity right now. The reports are out. The statistics are out. There's no way to hide about this anymore. What has the journey been like for you in these past months?
Sure. So I am the single parent to a teenager with early onset schizophrenia. So that means that my child deals with delusions, hallucinations, anxiety, and it's difficult for her to be in the world. So the teenage life that we all know and embrace as Americans doesn't exist for her. So there are no, friends. There is no going to high school in person, no late nights online, no going to the mall. All of those things that we take for granted and we just love doing as teens doesn't happen for her. And consequently, our world has shifted to the point where it's gotten so small that even with COVID, right before COVID, we became reclusive. Where because my daughter would not be able to leave the house because she was afraid of the world, I had to stay home with her. And it's difficult to find work, maintain a home life, maintain friends, extended family, the whole nine, because our world is focused on schizophrenia and trying to find the right med cocktail to help her feel better. And even with that, there's still more stuff behind it. So in the words of Fannie Lou Hamer, paraphrase, it's like I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I realized as a person that, has politics as a hobby, I said, it's time for me to stand up because I can't be the only one here. I mean, I am a high-tech worker. I am highly skilled. I have a college degree and I can't find work. It's not the tech downturn. It's the fact that I need a lot of flexibility, and as most moms do, but when you add a sick child on top of it, it's difficult. So because of that, again, I've gotten very political locally, and I've started using my gift and talent of writing to share our journey, because I speak very plainly, with a lot of passion, could be somewhat raw for some, but it connects with people who get it, who really get it. And I hear a lot from moms that are my age where like, oh my God, I don't know how you do it. God love you. And I appreciate that, but that's not enough. We need what King County is proposing with the Prop 1 levy, which is opening 5 crisis care centers around the region, one specifically for children and youth, because when my child was doing all the things that were just so beyond the pale, I had a place to take her. And she would have gotten help. And I would have gotten out of crisis, and I wouldn't have been ashamed, and I wouldn't have had that stigma, and I wouldn't have been able to suffer in silence. And I'm here to be a witness for this and say that change needs to happen and recovery is possible.
Yeah, it is so misunderstood. Let's just get the reality of this for a minute, and let's just really talk in terms of what we've done to stigmatize this. Now, when you were describing yourself, you certainly were describing me when it comes to addiction. You know, that's the way I've been described. And yes, sometimes we are raw because we can't get anybody to pay attention. We can't get an audience. We can't have a conversation. But when we're talking about schizophrenia, you know, we're talking about something that has been stigmatized before the word stigmatization was actually developed, that word. And not only is it not understood, but there is progress that's being made. The other part of this that I'd love for you to talk about is something you just previously said. You know, this is a mental health crisis, and it's not a one size fits all. And I want to be very clear about that. You know, we like to take mental health and put it in mental health and put it in the mental health bucket. See, that's what we're doing, people. We're doing that. And yet there are distinctions that are important. You know, I characterize my sister as bipolar, but she honestly, she was bipolar and schizophrenic. There was a lot of facets to her. We just need to stop playing around and get the help for people like you and children like your child now. And it is mental health matters, and it matters now. It matters. I mean, please, people, read the headlines. What has been your success in getting an audience?
I think the success has been taking a leap of faith by joining the Op-Ed Project, which is an organization that fosters the voices of underrepresented people in media so that they can rise to the top with their support for thought leadership. So I took a workshop in January to learn how to write op-eds. And from there, I found the support I needed from veteran writers and journalists who read my work to go and pitch that to places such as the Seattle Times. And guess what? You know, a month after taking the workshop, I got an op-ed published. I mean, there's some, you know, luck and timeliness that goes with it. But if you have the passion and you can string some words together, and a lot of us can, you don't think you can, but we did. If you did pay attention in high school and college, you can. It's really simple. It's all the same topic, sentences, proof points, and conclusions. And that's how I found an audience. And once I started speaking out, again, I've had a lot of opportunities to start telling more about our story. And I'm working now, I've started this transition. Okay, I'm going to get a little woo-woo here, where the universe is like moving me towards doing this work versus, shutting the door pretty much on the tech career, because I've done everything there that I wanted to do. I feel good about that. So right now, my passion and purpose is writing and speaking and talking about the specter of childhood mental illness, especially for Black youth. And a key statistic that I found in multiple pieces in my research is that 50% of all lifetime mental health problems start by the age of 14.
Yeah.
That's insane.
You have been, I need to say this.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken a bit of this journey with you, albeit not all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I have insider information I'm not going to share with people. But you are here today as a powerful woman of color, standing in defense of your child who cannot defend herself. You are one out of 250 million that can do that. That's the state of affairs we have.
Mm-hmm.
And look at you, Brittany. Look at you. Look at where you've come. See, this is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning. That op-ed article, there should be articles in every paper you write. Mm-hmm. Yes. Have you moved away from a technical industry? Maybe. And someday you'll develop an app that is going to help people with this. But you have never wavered. You've never moved away. And you know the impact in the Black community. I mean, you understand this. It is devastating and disgusting when we look at the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to ask you this. You are like on a roll. Today is just to catch up, but you're on a roll.
Mm-hmm.
If you were going to step away from this, you'd have done it months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what about the future vision you see that keeps Brittany Miles going every day on this? And if you had your list of the top 3 things you'd like to see anybody who's listening to this that has the power to change.
Sure. Schizophrenia has given me a wonderful gift. I am using my voice, and my goal until the last breath that leaves my body is to fight for children like my child. I think it's critical that they are getting, especially young Black girls, that they're getting the help and support that they need, because we're drowning with anxiety, depression, suicide, and other forms of serious mental illness. There needs to be more research. There's not a lot of research done on Blacks, period, but Black children, and specifically young Black girls, we need more research and development dollars spent there. Additionally, I think, and I'm going to be speaking with the Washington State Legislature next week to talk about how they can mobilize around youth and children in crisis, and tell them one part is that, like we've talked about across Washington State recently, there have missing middle housing where there's no affordable housing. Same thing here.
Yeah.
We have a missing middle, if you will, to support parents that struggle to support mentally ill children. I often say this: if my daughter had cancer, I'd get a covered dish, I'd get prayer requests, I'd have GoFundMes. As soon as I said she had schizophrenia, I was on my own and questioned when I started to, basically go bankrupt. Well, why didn't you save more?
I love that question.
I'm like, why don't you save more? Or why don't you have a job that has better insurance? It's like, no, this is a game played by the insurance companies. Medicine costs too much. Her medicine without insurance for 90 days costs over $800.
Yeah.
Right.
Look,
so
this is an issue that has gone silent for too long. I am so proud of you. I am so proud of what you're doing, Brittany. I mean, you're a powerful woman. I see the strength in you. I also know that what this journey is like is very painful. I know it. I come from a family. I told you, I know what this journey is like. I'm pretty vocal. I went on a rant. Got a lot of blowback on that. So the rant I went on to anybody that would listen to me is I'm scratching my head, people in Washington, and hello everywhere. Okay, how much money? 500 million bill. I don't like. Okay, to pay off student debt. And I'm like, I'm sorry, all y'all can email me on this, but I understand student debt myself. But in the list of priorities, can you imagine what that money would have done for the mental health crisis we have for our youth?
I think so. Yeah.
Do I have my priorities screwed up? I mean, please don't email me about your student debt. I appreciate it. I know it. I was you. But I'm a little confused, Brittany.
I am. I mean, yeah, I agree. Student debt. I paid off my loans that were really like a lot. They were really expensive. But I think what we're talking here is like, there's always going to be some priority. There's always going to be something. Politics is political. The personal is political. For me, the personal is mental health. I think the impact of mental health ripples throughout our society, and there are fewer dollars that are being spent and utilized on the federal level, as well as the state level, as well as the local level. I think King County is deciding that basically, we can't put everybody in jail because that's not the place for them. What we need to do is give them a place to call, a place to go, and connection to care. Does that mean everyone is going to do that? No, like we said, mental health is not one size fits all, but it's the need that we have that's prevalent within our society. There are governors, now that are making mental health a priority in Arizona, Ohio, and in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Oh, I just got a question that came in. Sorry, I get texts now on my phone. Like how did anybody get this phone number? But I got a question in. Hi DRP. They use the acronym. It's cool. Could you ask Ms. Britt? There you go. Could you ask Ms. Britt? Do you have, everybody abbreviate, so I apologize. Do you have the outreach and support in the Black community? Did you, what has basically, what have you seen in the Black community and their ability to rally, let's call it?
Right. And something I'm writing about right now is that within the Black community, there is a stigma against mental illness and getting help for mental illness. I think the stigma comes from broader society and how we view someone that is different from us. And that's all fear as humans. But then when you get to the place of like getting help, therapy is for white people. That ain't us. We survived slavery. We can get through this. And it's not true. And there's also fear and distress of the white medical establishment, and rightly so, because they've tried to kill us through eugenics. You can think of the Tuskegee experiment or study. You can look at forced sterilizations, and you can look at the fact that if a person is exhibiting mental health crisis, they're put in jail and they don't get enough medication or medication at all, right? So for folk like me, the system isn't necessarily a place that you want to go, but as a parent, I have nowhere else to go.
Exactly. This is what I call the pile-on theory. I started to write an article that I call the pile-on theory. And it's when things get piled on to a group, a subculture, a culture, when things get piled on to the point where you can't even remember the first thing that was piled on. And that is the judgment that's made because of the color of your skin or your religion. So, it's that's an immediate pile on. By the time you get to this layer that gets piled on, there is so much judgment from every community. But there's a factor in here that I'd like you to talk to in the minutes we have left, and it's an important one. There's a socioeconomic factor. The reason we're not talking about this for white people, and yes, I'm generalizing, but let's just call it upper middle class. let's just say people that have money, people that are not of color that have money. How's that for being safe? People that are, yeah, we don't hear about it because they have the resources to do something about it. There are resources available to people that are in a different socioeconomic situation. You can hire a nanny. You can bring in a tutor. You can get the best expert on which medication to use. You may have maybe not the best doctors, but middle of the road. You can spend your time doing it. Brittany Miles spends every waking minute of her day trying to create a better life for herself and her daughter. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't have those.
Right.
But isn't that a true fact?
It is true. Actually, we were those. That's why I always, I call us, I say we're hiding in plain sight because I am your neighbor. Yeah. But I have the specter of being Black. So there's inherent racism there within the system. But I had all those things. And because of the stress that this takes on you, I alluded to this. I'm going bankrupt. I don't have that money anymore, but I still don't qualify for a lot of the basic social services that I thought I paid for in my taxes to help me. So there is no social safety net. That's why I call it the gap, where you still I asked one social worker who denied my child's services. I said, do I have to lose everything in order to get help? The answer was yes.
Yes. The answer is yes. Right? You can't even get relief on your loan until you default on making payments. But look, that's not going to stop you.
No.
You're not going to stop. So tell me, what is on the horizon for you, Brittany? I mean, I wanted people to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly about this. I also wanted people to hear that we are in a gap, as you talked about, and the gap is one of those gaps that's invisible. It's invisible in a lot of ways. We also know, though, that even if you're Simone Biles and you come out about what's going on, you still ain't getting no love.
Right, exactly.
So tell us what's on the horizon for you.
So writing, of course, I am continuing to write op-eds and starting a freelance career working on issues that impact childhood mental illness, looking for my TEDx moment from my TED Talk and other places. And I'm also continuing to write a book and writing about our story because I think it's an important story that needs to be told and it needs to be heard. And I'm a face that people need to see because I'm a face of the crisis that they haven't seen before.
Yeah. How are you both doing, Brittany?
You know what? We take it day by day, moment by moment. And right now we're doing good.
Yeah. You know, part of this is to acknowledge that these moments where a family does good in a situation like this, it comes on the heels of a lot of work, a lot of hope, a lot of commitment, a lot of strength, and a lot of resilience. And you have all of that, all of it. How do people read the article that you wrote? How do they find out more? And we will make sure we stay in touch to support you every step of the way.
Why, thank you. Well, I had an op-ed published in the Seattle Times Friday, April 7th, and you can find it there. I also had an op-ed published in Publicola, which is a Seattle-centric news site. And you guys can put that up there. That was published March 27th. And then also you can find me on Twitter at MilesGirlsPlus. And that's where I share all of my latest work and thoughts around mental illness and mental health.
Brittany, last question. I'd love to know your personal message. I'd love to know what you want to leave us with here.
Be fearless. There's hope.
That's it for me. Brittany Miles. Brittany, what's the best social media way to get hold of you?
On Twitter at MilesGirlsPlus.
Brittany Miles, everybody. I'm honored to be taking this journey with you, Brittany. For those of you out there, please don't give up hope. Please get a hold of Brittany. Please connect with her on social media. Please know that whatever you're going through, you're not alone. Although this is a very difficult conversation to bring into the public, she knows that. You will have her attention. Thank you all for tuning us in and turning us on. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.